Feeling good, Krigo?
It's time to get crazy! This is Slovenia and Catalonia, shoulder on shoulder. Lennart Oblak and Jordi Vilalta to Starkensville! Und jetzt ist die große Frage, hat man da heute, um Gottes Willen, geht's dazu? Lennart haut die Fahne bereits in das Kitzbühler Gehölz, dem ihm Jordi Vilalta, der findet mit der Stange da gar nicht hinein, und das ist der Wahnsinn. Lennart Oblak, Slovenia, Jordi Vilalta, Catalonia, let's hear it, Hurricane! Bei Darkers ein Ground-Handling-Kurs und jetzt geht's hinaus! Der erste ist airborne! Bei Darkers! Viertel! Jawohl! Geht nicht mehr allzu viele! Jawohl! Picture perfect! Das ist Celine Lorenz! Mit dem Mechaniker! Jetzt heißt es natürlich schnell sein! Hat bereits 200 Meter über Höhe. Es geht. Und dann werden sie sich alle die Franzosen schnell sein. Simon Oberhauser legt sie auf. Wird einer der nächsten sein. Maxim.
I think the race started.
Relax and stay in control. You're doing super good.
For the straight route, the whole gang is chasing.
Yeah, Marcus, good copy.
Wow, what an awesome kickoff for Red Bull X-Alps 2023 edition. Taking off as first, Pal Takats managed to sneak away and was fighting a lonely fight in the front of the whole gaggle. He was like 10, 15, 20 kilometers ahead. We are following now for a while Pal Takats, where he is scrubbing the bottom of the clouds. You can't see obviously the clouds in this 3D animation, but be assured they're there. And in the background you see the whole gaggle, the rest of the club, circling still overhead Hahnenkamm. The rookies following Kriegel Maurer, who is obviously going to try to sneak away if anywhere possible.
But great work, Markus. You do what you can do best, flying. Super nice.
Sun in the valley, there's clouds, it looks perfect. There's Wagrein over there.
Gonna go live from Gavin in the sky. Gavin, are you there?
Leaders got away, but now they're all kind of coming back to the Hahnenkamm because it's settled down a little bit. So we're all just floating around trying to survive. I'll give you a little perspective here. I'll turn things around. There we go. You can see our sky. It's been pretty good all morning, but Lori just launched. We've all got scratchy right now, and might make a good distance here before we get to quite a different role for me to be in this year. I got to ride the gondola up. Something exciting is happening back there on launch. Almost everybody is back here at launch here. The cloud base is really quite low and we're all just scratching around trying to make it work. Hope you're enjoying the live view at home. We'll get this tighter and tighter as the days go by. We've been doing a lot of testing the last few days, but we're excited to be able to provide this kind of new element to the race over the next 12 days. I'll be roaming around all over course line, following the best stories and all the athletes, especially in the middle of the pack, and showing what's happening. Be sleeping with a different team every night and then hiking with them in the morning and hopefully going live with you every day at 9:30, whether that's on the ground or in the air. Exciting role for me, and I'm excited to participate in this way and bring you all kind of what the strategy is and what people are thinking, what they're doing, the good moves they've made, the mistakes they've made, the pain, the suffering, the glory. There's about 15 gliders directly over my head, so we'll try to get on top of them and show you what's happening. There's Adi Gessinger, the very famous photographer, up in the air doing his thing. Just about the whole fleet, the 32 pilots, are right here. I see two just down the ridge a little bit, but they're at the same altitude we are. Dream as a kid to fly the stripe, or to ski the stripe. That it is just a free fall. So I'm actually quite happy to be flying it. But everybody's kind of launch, and there's lots of pilots around the sky. And hopefully we'll cycle here. We'll get some more sun, and we can all get up and get away and start flying towards Wagrain. watching. She flies with a 7-inch vest, if you can imagine. Kids weight. She has a straight seat. She's so small, so she needs all the extra weight. She's carrying that around. She's a tough girl. Pushing out front now.
Meanwhile, Pal Takat's still fighting a lonely fight, but like in the Tour de France, when you have a breakaway athlete, the rest of the mob is banding together and chasing them. The conditions are pretty marginal. The cloud base is really low, just scratching the tops of the mountains. So there is not a lot of room to leave a thermal and try to get to the next thermal without standing on the ground in between. Pal Takat's doing here a really great job, but we see a bit to the west the rest of the mob catching up. Pal Takat is Hungarian, born 22nd March 1985. He's a professional pilot. He's flying about 300 hours per year. Finished 8th in 2009 and 7th in 2017. 2017 he could have had a much better result, but he received a 48-hour penalty due to airspace violation. Now let's follow Sepp Iniger for a while. He's a rookie. He's team member number 4 in the Swiss team. Born 23rd February 1996. He's a professional paragliding test pilot. He achieved first place in the Junior Swiss Championship 2022. And has a total flying experience of 6 years. Fun fact, he's the neighbor of Patrick von Kennel, which finally got him into flying. As a test pilot with advanced paragliders, he spends around 600 hours in the air per year. This allows him to fly like a bird without even thinking about it. He can fully concentrate on the race. During his military service, he served 43 weeks as mountain specialist. And since 4 years, he serves also as an alpine rescue specialist. Sepp Iniger hopes that he can keep up with the top athletes and offer everyone an exciting race. Sepp Iniger, by the way, was Patrick von Kennel's supporter in Red Bull Air Race 2019. Sepp Iniger, by the way, just jumped a few competitors. He's now on place 3, just some 800 meters in front of Patrick von Kennel, who himself just moved on from 7th position to 5th position. Patrick von Kennel, born 29th July 1994, is also a professional paraglider test pilot. Has been flying paragliders for 12 years and flies 300 to 400 hours per year. Patrick's plan for this time around is to sleep more and to fly more. But now let's look around what's happening around Patrick von Kennel. Pal Takat is just about to land at the first turn point, Wagram, and Maxime Pino is slightly ahead, but lower. I'd say the final approach and race to sign the leaderboard in Wagram is entering its hot phase. While Patrick von Kennel's competitors have to fight for height and add another reclimb, Patrick can fly very efficiently straight to Wagram signing board. While Pal Takat is taking a break, Patrick von Kennel is increasing to max speed, around 50 kilometers an hour, to take the landing at Wagram turn point 2. Patrick is only a few hundred meters ahead of the bulk, so he'll have to move away quickly to make space for all the other guys dropping in. Now the first 10 athletes have reached turn point 2 Wagram, signing the signboard, and prepare now for the climb up to the next hill. Pal Takats is already ahead. He tries to climb up to the southwest. Let's see if the other guys follow him or if there are other options. So let's take a look what happened behind the top athletes. The first 16 are now in Wagram. Marcus Anders from Germany 1 is place 7, just ahead of Stefan Iniger, Stefan Oberauner, Tom de Dorledo, Tom Gross-Rubacher, Roman Reiser, Anthony Duragatti, Patrick von Kennel. Pal Takat shown in 16th position, which is of course not correct. He is just climbing the mountain away from turn point 3, which the system makes him believe to be behind the others. Well, Maximilian Leudl from Team Germany 2, a rookie, has landed in the valley. Are Paul Güschelbauer and Nicola Donini fighting for place 18 and 19. Paul Guschebauer is a 6-time veteran of the Red Bull X-Alps. He is born 25th December 1983 and has been flying paragliders for over 16 years. Nicola Donini, meanwhile, has flown one Red Bull Air race before. He was born 27th June 1996. He's also a test pilot and professional paragliding pilot. He's been flying for 15 years, which means he started flying at 11 years old only. He's flying approximately 300 hours per year. Now let's focus on the leader teams. We have here a group around Kriegelmauer, Lacazzi, Renault Gut and Wolters. They chose a more direct route, climbing up the hill towards the northeast. While another group has chosen to follow Pal Takats. In this group is Tom de Dorledo, Thomas Friedrich, Patrick von Kennel, Gross-Subacher, and 2 others I can't make out right now. Pal Takats already back in the air. That's gonna be very interesting who's gonna make the race. Pal Takats now getting opposite traffic from the positions 20 and above. Marcus Anders, now the second one from the southwest group, taking flight. Taking on the challenge to catch up with Pal Takats in his own home turf. Well, Pal Takats is climbing nicely. Marcus Anders is catching up quickly. For the first time on this day, Pal Takats isn't alone in the air anymore. Now everyone in group Southwest has taken flight, while the group around Kriegelmauer in the northeast is still climbing a much higher mountain. And right now the group around Kriegelmauer has taken flight as well, taking up the race. Now that's gonna be a tight one. Which strategy works out better? Wow, both options, the southwest and the northeast group, are back united, so it didn't matter at all which option the athletes chose. Trying to fly as much as possible, the whole bunch is now racing towards turn point 3 of the race, Chiemgau Achental, where there is another signboard waiting for the athletes. Alrighty, the whole bunch is landing now and reclimbing to make a last downhill flight to walk as little as possible. Marcus Anders taking back the lead. Marcus Anders, by the way, has announced that he's going to use the night pass for the night. It's his only one, so that's going to be interesting. Let's see how far he's going to walk through the night. He obviously very accustomed to the area, which is his home turf, so he finds his way as well during the night. It is now 8:25 p.m. Just another 35 minutes left for flying. The rules say that last touchdown by 9 p.m. Pal Tackat's still kicking ass, while most others have already landed. He's still flying. What a great racing day for him. I'm going to use 2D overlay more often in future videos. For a situational overview, it is much better. Here you can see Pal Tackats ahead of the bunch, just touching down. Wow, this is new. First time I see an American in this stage of the race in position number 2. So Anders in front of Walters, Lacassie, Renaud Gooch, Gross-Robacher, Stefan Iniger von Kennel and Maurer.
Making a magic move of an evening. This evening we had at one point 11, 12, 13, 15 athletes all doing final glides, thermaling into the sunset. It was absolutely magnificent to see. At 8:15, the whole gaggle flew over my head, and in amongst this group you've got some of the best athletes in Red Bull X-Alps history. Kriegel Maurer, Max Pinot, these rookies, Damien Lacaze, he's not a rookie, but there was a lot of French. There was Tim Alongi, also American athlete we haven't seen, with apologies to Gavin McClurg, is probably watching. We don't often see an American athlete right up with this lead gaggle, and that's Logan Walters. And it's been really exciting to see this flying. Of course, quite a lot happened today. It's been a long day, day one of the Red Bull X-Alps. When I spoke to Damien Lacaze, he said, the last hour. Actually, I will say this. He said it was like it was no longer a competition. It was just a magic moment. And that magic moment, I must say, really belongs to Pal Tackats, because he was, even when everyone came landing and everyone was landing together, we were driving along and we're just watching everyone land. Pal Tackats was still flying, and I spoke to Max Pinot, who had a huge smile on his face. You don't always see a huge smile on Max's face, and he said, Pal, he kicked our asses today. And then we carried on driving a bit when we were just north of Saalfelden, and I saw there was another person flying, and it was Marcus Anders from Germany, homing in on his home territory. So it's really been an extraordinary last couple of hours, and it's been an extraordinary day. And to tell us more about that, I spoke earlier to Gavin McClurg to give a kind of wrap up of day one of the 2023 Red Bull X-Alps. Enjoy. What an opening day to the Red Bull X-Alps. Gavin, have you ever known a start like it?
You know, that was pretty outrageous, Tarquin. I just the beauty of the Hahnenkamm and the cheering and the people and the music and then the flying was outrageous. 2015, we went a long ways the first day. This one was tougher. The flying was much more technical. There was quite a bit of overdevelopment and stuff on the course, but I think at one point, about 10K in, I counted 26 people in the same gaggle, in the same thermal, and everybody was hooping and hollering, and it was just a blast. What a perfect start.
I mean, and even right at the beginning, the start in Kitzbühel itself, I mean, it was so many people there. It was just such an electric atmosphere.
It really was. Just to be looking down at the strife and the history of the Hahnenkamm and imagining the skiers hitting 60 miles an hour faster than the fastest car on earth. You know, it's an amazing place. The sun popped just at the right time when we first got up there. I thought, I don't know if today's going to work at all, but we got just enough sun as we did most of the day. Like I said, the flying was tricky. It was really tricky today, and to see Pal just jump off that ridge where we were all barely holding on to it. It was quite windy, and he just peeled off the back, and I thought he was going to land, and he hooked into a good one, and look where he is now. So really exciting day of racing.
Well, I think he thought he was going to land as well. I mean, this is really a day that belongs to Paul Takats. It's like a breakaway in the Tour de France. You know, he just went for it. He took that gamble. He didn't know if it was going to work out or if it was just going to be a sled ride to the bottom of the valley. But he made it work, and I suppose that shows tremendous skill on his part to just forge ahead and stay ahead of the gaggle.
You know, he's really tuned up right now. He just did really well at the Worlds 2 weeks ago. He had his best World Cup before that down in Brazil in March. And I think he's just got that confidence. You know, this isn't his first foray into this. This is his third X-Alps. He did it in 2009. He did it again in 2017, and he was really rolling in that one until he hit airspace. So, you know, his skills just keep getting better and better, especially as a cross-country pilot. And his history in acro gives him the ability to deal with days like today, as a lot of pilots can't. You know, it was pretty wild out there. It was pretty windy in a lot of spots, really windy in some spots. It really depended on where you were on the course, but you know, for him, that's probably just a non-event, and he was able to couple all his skills together. You know, there's 1,200K to go, but he was able to really crush some mileage today and make great position and great time to Wagrain, and he's still got some time tonight to make some more distance.
And Gavin, also there was at the beginning of the day there was a big fear that it was going to overdevelop, that there was the possibility of thunderstorms. I believe you also got rained on.
Yeah, I got rained on actually really hard, and my glider went parachutal a couple times because it was really wet, and I was having to fly full bar just to keep the glider inflated. So it really depended on where you were in the course. I was watching the radar in the sky, and I happened to be in a pretty bad spot. I was alone at that point coming down to record this show. So, but other places looked okay. It threatened real hard right from the start, and for the most part, I think it was all right. I'm sure many pilots got at least a little wet today, but for the most part, it was okay. The main issue today was the wind, the northeast wind at middle and lower levels, which all of us were at many times. When you were at cloud base, when you're up tall, it was okay. We never got that tall, but when we were up touching the clouds, it wasn't too bad. But when you were down in the terrain, the northeast was pretty vicious.
And Gavin, for someone who doesn't fly, how big a deal is flying in the rain? I mean, you say it's not that big a difference for athletes of your caliber of experience, but it obviously changes the massive, the dynamics of flight. You mentioned it, your wing went parachutal. What do you mean by that? It's literally like falling out the sky?
Yeah, so what happens when you get in a lot of rain? Light rain is not much of a problem, but we shouldn't fly in rain, and none of us like to fly in rain, but sometimes, especially in the X-Alps, it's just inevitable. What I mean by going parachutal is when you have a lot of rain, it can weigh so heavily on the top surface of your glider. Gliders have a top surface and a bottom surface that the top surface can literally kind of glue on to the bottom surface, and you lose the airfoil. You lose the airflow between the two surfaces, and your wing basically becomes a parachute, and it just starts coming down. So what you have to do when you're flying in the rain is use what we call our speed bar, which changes the aspect of the wing and accelerates it up. And sometimes you have to stay on speed bar all the way to the ground. But mostly it's just that your wing becomes quite unstable, and is more difficult to keep inflated. And so when you're trying to thermal or using the brake, your stall speed is much easier to hit. So it's not a very comfortable place to be. All X-Alps athletes are used to it, but none of us like to fly in the rain.
Great, thank you. Good explainer, Gavin. For those who perhaps some people are not so familiar with all the terms of and the nuances of how difficult it is up there, and the kind of things that you have to manage. Now, we mentioned that this is a day that belonged to Pal Takats. He took a big gamble. It paid off. A couple of other athletes took a gamble, including Andrei Prohaska from Czech Republic. For him, it didn't work out. He tried to go south. He took a southerly line down to the Pinzgau Valley and landed out, and he back on his foot. Gavin, I suppose that's just part of the game. Sometimes these gambles work, sometimes they don't.
And I feel for Andre, because that was the same move I made late in the flight. The Pinzgau was quite sunny, and the route that the leading pack was on was really quite dark. And so, sometimes you have to make these calls, and I'm sure he was thinking, as I was, that was a pretty good call. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. And so now, unfortunately, he has to pay the price. But I think the day was also defined by amazing ability by pretty much all the athletes today was really tricky. Recreational pilots would not have made it very far, and to see so many people already in Wagrain and just a few behind that will get in very shortly is testament to the ability and the skill of the pilots this year in this Red Bull X-Alps.
You're absolutely right there, Gavin. I mean, it was extraordinary scenes here in Wagrain Kleinau. They were just landing thick and fast. No time separation at all. Pal first, Maxime Pinault, and then Patrick von Kernel from Switzerland. But then the other French athletes, you had Tanguy Renaud-Gu, Tim Alongi also landed not shortly afterwards, Sepp Iniger, and Reto Reiser. I mean, all together. Oh, and the other thing I was going to ask you to mention is the American athlete, Logan Walters. He was also among that sort of leading group.
He's had a screamer of a day.
He kind of said to me that he was just following the leaders and just hung with a gaggle.
Yeah, and he made. We were all together leaving the Hahnenkamm, and maybe 15 kilometers into the course, the gaggle. This was before Pal's breakaway, and Logan was quite low. He was in a pretty tight spot, and to see him get out of there and hook back into the leaders and get all the way to Wagrain, it was 70K of hard flying, and how tight is everybody now? That's awesome. After really almost the first full day, we've got everybody within a few K of one another. So that's super exciting. And there's some time left, and there's already a big split from Wagrain. There's the French and Logan and the US team. They've taken a very different line than what Pal and the Austrians and several other and the Italians have. So we're going to see some strategy differences here that could really pay off or hurt.
And it's only day one, so
it's only day one.
We'll leave it there, Gavin. Everything to still play for, and let's see what happens by the end of today.
Yeah, what an exciting first day! I can't wait to watch the rest.
But let's have a look at the leaderboard. This was as of 7 p.m, so it's probably already been changed since then. But as of 7 p.m, in 10th place was the French athlete Tim Alongi, competing for the first time. Sepp Iniger, who I saw run past just earlier. Tom de Dorlado, again, who I saw run past a minute ago. Reto Reiser was in 7th place. Tobias Gross-Rabacha, also saw him just now in 6th. Patrick von Kernel in 5th place, Aaron Duragati in 4th, and 3rd place, Kriegel Maurer. Currently in 2nd is Pal Takats, with Marcus Anders out currently leading the charge. And that'll be interesting because that was the same 2 years ago when Marcus Anders was first into Chiemgau Achental. So let's see, he'll be wanting to be into that turn point 3 first. This is his area, he knows it like no one else.